Welcome along to Betting Weekly Premier League show. You with Dan Roebuck alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. Nigel, a lot of futures chat on the comments on YouTube over the course of the last week. Have we got a 3-horse race or is it just a 2-horse race? Because a lot of pundits suggesting Arsenal are out of this, but the bookmakers, the odds compilers, they're plus 375 Arsenal, Chelsea plus 350, Liverpool minus 125. Arsenal still in it or not? Some interesting results recently.
Good morning to you all. Apologies if I look awful and I lose my throat along the way.
Look the same as you always do.
I know, exactly. I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. Listen, I set you up open goal and you put it in.
Right in the pocket.
15 love to Roebuck. 15 love to Roebuck. But we got a lot more to go on here. No, it's a three-run race. There's a lot to go here. We're only halfway through the season. Arsenal, last week, I don't know how I never cashed on the win to nil, the story of the season so far, a lot of near misses. But no, it's a 3-runner race. And I'm being very keen on Arsenal throughout this competition and throughout this strength in the Premier League. And I think now that Chelsea are considered a real major threat and they're now down to as low as 3-1 with Bet Rivers, it comes with a different kind of pressure on them. So we'll see what Chelsea are all about over the next few weeks. And they start with a very tricky match this weekend at Everton, which I think is going to be a very difficult one, which we'll come on to in a bit.
It has had a couple of sackings over the weekend as well, Nigel. Do you think there might be more to come?
Yeah, Roebuck's gone in the new year.
Don't you worry, son.
15 all.
I will leave them over the pocket for you all day long. Jack Wright, ladies and gentlemen. 10 selections last week, including the leans. 7 picks. You've been in great form for us. I mean, some great plays. I mean, the Munoz pick was great. I mean, he had some great leans, Jack. I mean, it's been Nigel's story as well, is that a lot of the leans have been coming in. We need Joe, who does all our P&L for us, to sort of go back and get all the leans for us here, Jack, I think. Don't we? Been in good form, though.
Yeah, it was a good week. Really frustrating that the 2-unit play was the one that flopped, wasn't it? And with a late goal from Brentford. But as I say, I think what is nice to see, we had over 100 comments on the video last week, which is great to see, and some excellent contributors to that now, which is brilliant. But a few of them are commenting on the fact that they're kind of getting the bigger picture, that picking up a lot of stuff from what we're talking about as far as our leans are concerned. A lot of people putting their own picks out initially and then seeing what we say and kind of matching them together and going, when me and Nigel agree on maybe even a lean, that becomes a strong play for people. And what they're already thinking, if we kind of validate that, then that's all good as well. So, yeah, lots to be taken from the videos. And obviously we'd like the 2-unit plays, the 1-unit plays and all the others to come in. But, yeah, it's positive across the board. So, yeah, all good stuff.
Let's get the boys' P&L on screen for you. This is how we've done so far this season. We are transparent. Other shows might dip in and out and just give you the week here, a week there. When they're doing well, we give you the yearly update every single week on the show. If you are betting this weekend, let us know what you're betting in the comments. As Jack was pointing out, really good response on YouTube. 1 or 2 questions that I'll get to with the boys as we go over the games as well from our YouTube commenters last week. And tag us in at becausewewin is our X handle. What's on the Betting Weekly Studios newsletter, Nigel? What have we got? Is the tennis out yet? What's just been released?
Unfortunately, if you haven't subscribed yet, you won't get a copy of that because it was gone out Monday. But it's a 72-page preview of the ATP Tour season, player profiles, statistical look at the tennis, some strategies from Sean Calvert, and some in-play advice from me. So the tennis season starts in I think it's 10 days now to start the new ATP Tour season. So I'm sure that we'll send it again. So make sure you subscribe to the newsletter at bettingweeklystudios.com. And if you haven't got the ATP Tour newsletter, send me a direct message on Twitter or X, and I'll forward it on to you.
Good stuff. Let's get into the picks and plays. Every single game covered with leans, hot dogs, 2Us, 1 units from the boys over the next 40 minutes or so. Aston Villa, Manchester City, first up. This is 7:30 Eastern on Saturday morning. It's a lunchtime kickoff in the UK. Villa are plus 230. City are plus 110 here. Draw is plus 265. City haven't been this price away at Villa for over a decade. How tempting, Nigel, is plus money Man City away at Villa? Or have they completely gone? 8 losses in their last 11, but Villa 6 defeats in their last 11. Where are we going here? You've got your hot dog play.
Well, I think this is probably one of the most fascinating developments in Premier League betting that I can remember since, I've been getting involved heavily in betting, in my sort of career. I've never seen a team have this kind of problem. I've seen teams gradually fall, go down their ratings, like Manchester United when Sir Alex Ferguson left, Arsenal when Wenger left. But this Manchester City story is just incredible, and I think it continues. I think there's something fundamentally wrong at the club. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's to do with player. I don't think it's to do with Rodri going. I think that plays a part, but I think there's something deep going on there. We've been touching on it as we've gone on to this in the last couple of weeks since it's been developing. But I think it's staggering because where do you place Manchester City now? A lot of people have asked about ratings and systems and all that. Manchester City with a clear 3 weeks ago, they would have rated the top side in Europe. Where do they position themselves now? And I think you could ask the best gambler in the world, and I still think he would struggle to find exactly where you put them. I was speaking to a very, very professional sports bettor last night at the Arsenal game. I was very lucky to be invited into a box. The Arsenal guy was a very, very big bettor. And he said to me, opposing Manchester City is the gift that keeps on giving. He just believes they've gone. He believes that the players want out. They're on the phone to their agents. They want to go. And he doesn't see any turn in their fortunes. And it's just a lot, the way of Manchester United, it was a dire match. They couldn't string two passes together, Manchester City. Haaland looks a shadow of his former self. There is every single player. They cannot pass. There is a fundamental problem here. It's not they're playing well and losing goals. They're playing really, really bad. They're playing like a relegation side. And they've given up. I think they've given up. The Villa price, just before Manchester City scored, Manchester United scored the winning goal, you could have bet Villa with Bet Rivers at plus 260. And I tweeted out, this is the time to bet them. They're now plus 230. I don't think it's moved enough. I don't think this has moved enough. So I'm going to go for Villa here on the money line as my hot dog. I know it's the best price, and there will be people who turn around and say it's too good and Manchester City will turn it around. I don't know. I really don't know. I think that everything's gone wrong there, and I think it could even get worse. And Pep could walk. The other bet I like here is, I know it's a quirky one, and a lot of states in America won't offer this market, but it's obviously on the bookings market. And it comes to that Christmas period where players have got 4 yellow cards and they might want Christmas off if they get the 5th card. Well, Man City players do not want to be playing. I'll tell you, they don't mind having Christmas off at the moment, the way it's going. And Bernardo Silva is on 4 bookings. And if he plays, I wouldn't be surprised if the Portuguese midfielder gets a yellow card so that he can have the Christmas off, because he doesn't want to be playing at the Etihad where they're playing at the moment. But I think the wheels have completely come off. And I still think, even though Man City are the biggest price they've been for 10 years, I think Villa here at plus 230 is my hot dog.
Just on Silva, he's the player that's come out and done a lot of interviews recently, and he contradicts what Pep says all the time about the mood and the professionalism. So I think that's a really good play, not just for the wanting Christmas off angle, but that's good in itself. Jack, you got a lean for us in this one?
Yeah, I'm going with Villa as well, but I've just sided with their goals. I'm not saying Villa just aren't. They're a bit unconvincing. You've already mentioned that as well at the top of the piece there. I can't be touching City with anyone's money at this moment in time either. So I've gone with over 1.5 Villa goals at plus 123. And so the stats really back it up. But you look at Villa, they've got a lot of talent in those forward areas. Watkins isn't quite firing at the moment, but he will really stretch that Manchester City backline. They will not like playing against him, pulling them from one side to the other. Duran can come on and then make the most of that. He's been incredible this season and keeps on scoring 3-3 now as well for him. And I think the one player that really could have a good game against City is Morgan Rogers in midfield, because he's got the legs, he's got the energy, he'll drive into the box. And I don't think City have got the ability to keep up with him and track those runs. So looking at Villa, they've only scored 2+ in 4 of their 8 home games, which isn't a bad record, but it's the City one that really stands out like a sore thumb. It's absolutely incredible. And as you say, this is a City side that started the season pretty well, and they have just completely fallen apart. And they've conceded 2 or more goals in 6 of their last 7 in the Premier League. But that run that you talked about, that 11-game sequence where they've lost 8, they've conceded 2 or more goals in 10 of those 11 games, which is truly incredible. So over 1.5 goals for Villa here for me is a lean at plus 123.
Rogers, ex-Man City player, of course, at one stage in his career.
He's also on 4 bookings, by the way, Dan. Rogers is also on 4 bookings.
Is he?
Yeah.
Another one maybe to have a look at.
The double.
We're overrunning.
Shirt off after he scored.
We're overrunning already, but do you want a quiz?
Not really.
Yes, of course you do.
Come on, it's Christmas, Dan.
3 Arsenal Invincibles were in the 2 squads when City were last bigger than evens to beat Villa away from home. That was in 2011. 3 Arsenal Invincibles in the 2 squads.
I've got no idea. Jack, over to you. you know what? It makes me laugh because he'll say in 2 minutes, "Well, come on, quick with your picks, quick, because we're overrunning."
I just
and we spend 90 seconds on his rubbish quizzes. Who are you going to go for, Jack?
Jack.
Well, players that play for both sides. Bobby Perez
is one.
Vieira
is another.
Don't know a third one.
Go cliche. Go cliche.
No, Colo Torre. There you go.
Christmas that's 90 seconds of our life we're never getting back.
That's the best quiz you've done today, Dan. Well,
we're going to have the biggest match of the Spurs v Liverpool, and we're going to have like 20 seconds because we wasted 95 seconds of that rubbish.
Brentford versus Forest next up, 10 a.m. Saturday. Brentford plus 123, Forest plus 215. This is all about home record versus away record for Brentford, as we know. Knocked out, Jack, of the League Cup in midweek. But now the crucial thing here is, I'm sure you're going to mention this because you've got your 2-unit planet, but it's not on the money line. But this is the first time this season that Brentford are playing a team in the top half of the table at the time of the fixture at home. So those home stats are going to be under a bit of pressure for this game. What do you like in it? This is your 2U play.
Possibly, yeah. I've gone with goals in this one, over 2.5 goals. I had it marked down initially. I did fancy Brentford to win this one. Forest are doing incredibly well, aren't they? Up 4th. How long can they keep that going? Are they taking advantage of those sides? We've already mentioned Manchester City, around them that just keep failing. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Nuno's done a superb job there. He's effectively regenerated his successful Wolves side from a few years ago. They've got Chris Wood up top, real solid striker, consistently scoring goals, loads of energy, loads of legs around him. Decent talent, decent skill, the likes of Hudson-Odoi, Gibbs-White as well, Elanga, 2 or 3 others in there as well. And they've got 2 super solid centre-backs, Milankovic and Murillo as well. But I think Brentford have got the tools that can hurt what has been a solid Forest side with the energy that they've got there as well. And as I said, I've gone with over 2.5 goals at minus 136 as my 2-unit play. We know what we get with Brentford. As I said, they're just that. They've been a consistent theme as far as my picks this season are concerned, really. When you're betting, you like consistency with a side, and you're getting that with Brentford as far as they've been brilliant at home and they've been terrible away. But generally, the theme across all of those games is goals. They've got Vissa and Mbeumo still performing exceptionally well. I think they will cause, say, that Forest backline problems. They've got a decent backup as well. We've talked about Sharda before, and as Nigel pointed out, he's a smooth operator at this level. Carvalho, Thiago as well are decent threats off the bench. So they've got the ability to go and change games. But when we look at their home games, 40 goals across their 8 home games so far this season. Obviously, it's an average of exactly 5 goals per game. And when you look at what they've contributed to that, it's absolutely exceptional. 3.25 goals per game average at home this season. And what I like about it is the plan against the Forest side here, who have started to concede goals. As far as Brentford are concerned, we're looking at 13 of their 16 games this season gone over 2.5 goals, 7 of their 8 home games. And I pointed out on the live show yesterday, the one thing you love about them is the fact that both teams score. So we're getting both teams come to the table most of the time. 16 of their last 17 games across all competitions have seen both teams score. Did it again last night, despite being 3-0 down, still finding a late goal. So that's exceptional. And I mentioned Forest. 7 of the last 8 have gone over 2.5 goals, including all of the last 4 away, and they've conceded in their last 6 on the road as well. So for me, over 2.5 goals is my strongest play of the week, 2 units.
2-unit play, really good case for 2.5 goals, or more than 2.5 goals in the game. Brentford Forest. Nigel, what's your take on this one? I mean, the Brentford price on the money line is just interesting to me. They were nearly 3-1 to beat Newcastle. They're just over evens to beat Forest. It was only a couple of weeks ago here. Have we all bought too much into this home record? What's your thoughts on it?
I don't think the betting public and the bookmakers are really convinced by Nottingham Forest. That's the thing here. Everyone expects them to revert to where they are, but they've done a tremendous job. I've been quite critical of them in recent weeks, and they've surprised me every single time they've done it. When they've got their first starting 11 available, they're exceptional side, very, very hard to beat. And then they lose 2 or 3 key players. Their replacements aren't so good. So they're at full strength here. I am probably edging towards Brentford, though. It's saying that at plus 123, given how great they are at home. But this is a big match because both these sides now, and a lot of these teams in this mid-table positions in sort of 7th, 8th, will be dreaming of European football, given what's going on at Manchester City. I mean, Forest could be dreaming of Europe Champions League, which is incredible. I think that Brentford's home advantage will probably see them through, given how strong they are. I think they do offer the better goal threat from every department on the pitch rather than relying on one single player. I agree with Jack. I think goals, both teams have scored. There's been a yes in all 4 Premier League matches between these two. And they're both playing probably the best they have in the Premier League. Well, they are playing the best they have since they both returned to the Premier League. So I fully expect goals. I agree with Jack up to over 2.5. I like both teams to score yes, which I think would be in the both teams to score parlays this week. And if I push for a winner on the money line, I'd have to go for Brentford.
West Ham versus Brighton next, another 10 a.m. Kickoff on Saturday. We've got Jack's hot dog here. West Ham getting a little better, maybe. Brighton regressing a little bit. You're focusing on a goal scorer for us here, Jack.
Yeah, late switch for my hot dog in this one. I've gone with Jared Bowen at plus 205, and that comes down to a lot again as regards to the opposition. We touched on it last week. I'm not overly convinced for West Ham. Again, we saw him against Bournemouth. Looked like they'd kind of snatched a late winner and then sort of threw it away. But I do think Brighton are vulnerable defensively, and I think West Ham certainly have those players in the forward areas that can hurt them. Brighton have conceded 8 in their last 3 games, and when you look that they've played against Palace, Leicester and Fulham, that's not exceptional striking talent. So they've opened up big style. I think Dunk's having a bit of a kind of dip in form at the moment, which is quite crucial for them. And as I say, I think West Ham have got a lot of players across there that can cause issues. Great having Kudos back. I think that will certainly give them a boost in this one. I touched on it last week that the main weakness for Brighton is down their left-hand side as far as that's concerned. I went with Munoz as a shot on target, which it landed. He actually scored and the goal was disallowed. But Ismail Assar scored 2 in that game from that right-hand side. So I've kind of gone down a similar theme here. Now, Bowen's usually out there, but he's played centrally since Mikel Antonio's car accident. He's been going down the central area. But I do wonder if he might drift out to that side this time because they've got a suspension with Soler. And that might mean Paquetá comes inside. I'm kind of trying to put a bit of a jigsaw puzzle together for it. But I think at least at some stage of the game, Bowen will be out on that right-hand side, which he can cause a real threat. We might see, say, Fulkrug go down the middle. But he scored in the 3-1 win against Brighton last season, so I'm going to take him to score again. He is, for me, their best player. He's their captain now as well. Unlucky not to score against Bournemouth when he hit the bar. I say he's a real threat, and I think Brighton have opened up defensively, and he can take advantage of it. So here's my hot dog pick this week at plus 205.
Got a really good comment from Raxpack on the YouTube comments last week, and he was talking about backing Cucurella for a shot on target in the Chelsea game. He scores first at 50-1. Anytime goal scorer, he was about 16s or something. And all he said, all I did was a shot on target. I mean, in terms of strategy, Jack, and I'll ask this to Nigel as well. I know Jack sort of prop bets are more your sort of bag. I mean, do you spread your stakes? Do you go sort of, full unit on a shot on target, and then you drip feed any time and a little bit less on for first? How do you generally do it?
Yeah, I think it's price dependent. I think Cucurella isn't generally a goal scorer, so I think you kind of want to be, if you're backing shots on target around that sort of money, you don't want to really be wasting any of your profits on the fact that you're then throwing it on a goal scorer. It's always frustrating when he then gets in bags a 50-1. But yeah, I think it depends on position, depends on price. If you're looking at a right back or whatever priced up as such, but he's playing further forward, I'd probably be then more inclined to look for his goals. But keep it simple, really. Take the win. And gloat in the fact that you pinpointed him and he's bagged at 50-1. But you don't want to waste profit by constantly backing loads of other lines when you identify one area.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those classic cases, Nigel, isn't it? You might back over 2.5 and the game ends up sort of 3-3, and you always fancy goals, and it's all about, you feel that maybe you've left some money on the table. What's your sort of strategy when you're looking at? Might even be Asian handicaps or goals or prop bets. Do you ladder your bets a little bit, or do you, like Jack, you just stick with whatever you were going for in the first place?
Well, I'm much more always looking at betting players to score at any time rather than score the first goal. So I mean, that Cucurella bet, I'd probably bet him at the score at any time at 12-1. I've never had a shot on target bet in my life. I don't know if I ever will. So it's not really for me to say on that. I mean, because I think I wouldn't. I don't think you can get decent ties on. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the limits are. Those kind of things are. So I wouldn't do that. But I would bet probably any time goal scorer. With regards to this match, I think it's all about goals as well. Which I'm agreeing with Jack again here. If you look at the statistic, 13 of 14 matches, the last 14 matches for Brighton, both teams have scored. 12 of the last 14 over 2.5 goals. West Ham have started to open up a little bit now. Players have come back into the side. They seem to be a better team. There are a lot of new signings. They seem to be gelling a little bit better now. Both teams' scores have been a yes in their last 4 matches. It's very, very low price. Minus 210 is the price for both teams to score in this match, which I thought was extremely low, actually. But if you put it in I said Brentford Forest for both teams to score. If you put a parlay in there, Brentford Forest and West Ham Brighton, that'll probably boost it up. I think there'll be goals in both those games from all 4 sides. The other thing, I've been looking at this. I've been looking at this. These cards markets. 3 players here on 4 cards: Dunk, Paquetá, and Souček. All one of them will want Christmas off. So maybe look at the bookings. 3 of them there. One of them will want Christmas off. But I think there's goals. Minus 210, both teams to score. Yes, very short, but I can't see either of these sides the way they defend, keeping a clean sheet.
Ipswich, Newcastle, 10 a.m. Saturday as well. Got a couple of leans from the boys here. Newcastle are minus money away from home, Nigel, for the first time this season. Ipswich still without a home win. What's your lean on this one?
Well, Newcastle have started playing quite well. The last 2 matches have been pretty good. Not great opposition. And, are you going to trust Newcastle on the road? But they've only won twice this season. That if you back Newcastle on the road, you'll be doing your conkers. Going to go back to the tried and tested. Isaac anytime. Even money. I was watching the live show with Lewis Jones, and Lewis Jones tipped up Isaac to be the top Premier League goal scorer at 40-1 on the show the other day, and he made some really valid points about him. I think he's a real world-class striker. He's crying out, Arsenal should have get him, someone like him, for 100 million, get him into the team and then win the Premier League. He's a quality striker. I think he goes on streaks. And I think that Newcastle are a side that have underachieved in the first half of the season. But now, again, with the way that this Champions League race and European positions go from 4th down to about 14th, there's only about 4 points between a lot of them. So I think it's going to be a big second half of the season for Newcastle and Eddie Howe. I would probably think they would get the win. But to bet Isaac to score at a bigger price than Newcastle, I think if they win, Isaac's going to have to be the man to score for them. So I'm going to take Isaac to score any time at even money on pens as well. That'll do for me.
Jack?
I've gone under 3 Asian total in this one at minus 125. I think that I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, the Newcastle roller coaster, that 3-3 draw with Liverpool, and then they went to Brentford and got stuffed. Don't think that's going to happen this time round as far as them getting heavily beaten. But I think Ipswich fully rested. Big win for Newcastle last night in the League Cup. And Ipswich home games tend to be tight. 18 goals across 8 games, averaging 2.25. This bet's cashing 6 of their home games. 1 push, 1 loss. And it's only lost in 3 of 8 Newcastle away games. So under 3 Asian total for me.
Okay, we've got 3 units on the next game. 2 units from Nigel, 1 from Jack. It's Palace against Arsenal, 12:30 Eastern, 5:30 local in the UK. Palace are 5-1 shots. Arsenal have been bet. They're minus 182 now. Repeat the League Cup game on Wednesday. We talked about it already, Nigel, to a certain extent. I thought Arsenal excellent second half with their better players. Palace with a full-strength side and then took players off. I mean, to me, Arsenal will win this. It's just, do you want to back them at minus 182? Same sort of price that City were when they played at Palace a few weeks ago when I said they were better the weekend, Nigel.
Yeah, and I just had shivers run through me when you said Arsenal will win there. Because I've got big tickets on Arsenal to win the Premier League, and my 2-unit play here is Arsenal minus 1, and I've just got the curse of Roebuck.
It was lifted last week, or midweek, or some week. Every week.
Yeah, not every week. Well, we was there. I was there last night, and anyone who watched the match as well, it was a tale of 2 halves. Obviously, when the team news come out, Crystal Palace put out a very, very strong side. They took the tournament very seriously. Only one player who would probably 10 of their first 11 played in that match. Eze came off in the second half, and he didn't really do much at all. He was. I don't know if he got a knock or something like that. It might be a doubt for them. Like that would be a concern for me. But those same players will be asked again to go and play Arsenal. And Arsenal had the luxury of resting everyone. Rice, Saliba, Gabriel, Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard. They all didn't play. Havertz, they didn't play. They brought them on in the second half and they changed the match completely. Arsenal run, before they scored the equaliser, they should have scored 2 goals before that, and they dominated. So I think now the fact that the same Palace team have been asked to come out again, more or less player for player, after what was it? It was quite a high-intensive quarter-final. Carabao Cups are usually quite low-key events. But this year, the matches are quite high intensity. I think people are taking this cup very, very seriously. So it was a big match. It took a lot out of the Crystal Palace. They took a huge following there. They gave it all for the team, and they just fall short at the end. But the way that Arsenal come on in the second half, Odegaard come on, changed the game. Saka came on and changed the game. I think that gives them huge, huge confidence going into this match. Arsenal have gone here in the last couple of years and won relatively easily, 1-0 and 2-0. And I expect Arsenal to cover the handicap here. I'm going to bet Arsenal -1 at -107. The fact that those players were rested, the fact that Crystal Palace will name 10 players who played in midweek again, and the fact is Arsenal have got to win pretty much every game now and to go on this run and hope for slip-ups. So I'm going to go Arsenal to cover the handicap, -1, 107. I expect a big win for Arsenal here.
Jack, what's your 1-unit play?
Yeah, mine is both teams to score in this at -121. I actually put this forward before the game last night. And I was a bit disappointed with Palace last night, but obviously they are at home in this one, and they are generally a pretty strong home side. I think also Arsenal have been very, very impressive at home and a little bit susceptible away. So I do think there's a chance. Well, obviously I do because I've gone for the bet that Palace get on the score sheet. They have got threats. Yes, they went with that strong initial lineup, and then it was a bit strange that they were sort of still in the game, but then took those players off. As we're talking about Mateta, we're talking about who scored that early goal. He bullied the Arsenal defence. He obviously will have a tougher matchup against Saliba and Gabriel, but it was interesting to see Eddie Nketiah get on the score sheet with a big header over the top of Saliba right towards the end there. So they've got lots of say threat. Ismail Assar, as well, I mentioned earlier. Back amongst the goals, a threat. We saw him in his first spell in the Premier League, and he's looking something like the player from that. But yeah, there's just generally been goals across both these sides' respective home and away games. Arsenal's last 4 away games in all competitions have seen both teams score. They tend to go for it, but do leave the back door open a little bit. So Palace's last 2 home games has seen both teams score. That was against Newcastle and Manchester City as well. And it's now 7 of the last 9 across all competitions and venues where both teams have scored in Palace games. So they've certainly come in and been competitive, haven't had a really tricky start to the season. So expect them with the home crowd. It's a later kickoff in the UK, isn't it? 5:30 UK time. And that is another reason. I just feel that adds a little bit of extra spice to it. Obviously, the supporters have got a little bit more prep time ahead of the game kicking off, but it's not super late. The players don't change their routine too much. And the last time Arsenal had a 5:30 kickoff away in London, it was 5-2 against West Ham. So I'm not maybe expecting anything quite so dramatic as that, but something similar. Obviously, that works for both of us here as well. We both cash our tickets for that. So both teams to score yes for me at -121, 1-unit play.
Let's get to Sunday's game, shall we? We're going to start at the King Power. Leicester against Wolves here, 9 a.m. Leicester with Ruud van Nistelrooy in charge. They are conceding shots as well as goals. 74 shots against the last 3 games with Ruud van Nistelrooy in charge. I don't know if Vitor Pereira is actually going to be picking the team for Wolves, Nigel, for this one. He's left Al Shabab in Saudi. It looks like he's going to be named Wolves coach if he's not already by the time this one goes out. Difficult one for odds compilers to price up here in terms of the money line, but you're looking at the goals line here for your 1-unit play.
Yeah, I mean, you can't not see goals in this match. I mean, it could be anything. The way these two sides defend, the way they're comical, really. I've gone for over 3 goals in the Asian line at +107 with 3 goals a push. I know Van Nistelrooy wasn't in charge. He's been in charge of 3 matches, but he was in the stands for the other match. But in the 4 matches that he's sort of more or less been in charge, there's been 17 goals in those matches. In the 4 matches he was in charge at Old Trafford, Man United scored 11 goals in those 4 matches. So he is a manager that likes to go from the front foot, likes his sides to attack, but doesn't really care about his defending, and pretty much like sums him up as a player who's a great attacker and not the best at defending. And his side sort of reflect that. I mean, this Wolves side now, Kunar's out, isn't he, as well?
We think he's out. We don't know. I think he's up against the FA today. Well,
I mean, there's no way he's not going to get away. He's going to get away with that. And
you can't nick someone's glasses and get away with it.
Absolutely not.
Exactly. And he wants to move in January and suddenly get a 4-game ban, and suddenly he moves to Chelsea for a big money or something like that. It's a great move from him. I just think goals. I mean, look at the defending, the amount of own goals, the amount of penalties that Wolves have conceded, the way that Leicester play. They never give up. All about goals for me. And the money line is virtually impossible, but over 3 goals at plus 107, I think is a great bet. And it's my 1U play. It was going to be I was really tempted to make this my 2U play, but I've gone for a 1-unit play. And if you're on the card watch, Jamie Vardy is on 4 cards.
Jamie Vardy's you nailed on.
His missus will tell him, get yourself a card. I want you home with the kids for Christmas. Jamie Vardy to get carded here is absolutely it would be my banker bet of the Christmas period if Bet Rivers offered that market to us. But if you can get on Jamie Vardy to get a yellow card, Mrs. Vardy usually gets what she wants. And I think that it'll be told under no uncertain times, get yourself a card and be at home with the kids.
Jack, what have you got for us in this one? Got to lean.
Yeah, all eyes on Rebecca Vardy's Instagram account there just for those final clues. But yeah, I am fading Wolves to a certain extent in this one. That Cunha ban, I think is nailed on. Ryan Norrie, another one of their key players, is already suspended for this one as well. And we know what we get with Ruud van Nistelrooy, be it at Man United, we've seen, or Leicester, exactly what Nigel's just now said. But I don't expect really either to keep a clean sheet. I'm on the goals trail as well with this one. My selection is slightly different. I've just gone for over 1.5 Leicester goals at plus 100. Wolves have conceded 40 across the Premier League so far this season already in just 16 games. That's the most of any side. It's an equal split home and away as well, so it doesn't matter where they're playing. They just concede goals. They've conceded 2 or more in their last 4, and believe it or not, they've conceded 2 or more in 13 of their 16 Premier League games this season, which is incredible. Leicester scored in every single home game, and 5 in the 2 Ruud van Nistelrooy games, 3-1 versus West Ham, 2-2 versus Brighton. So for me, I'm going with over 1.5 Leicester goals.
So we want a 4th goal of the match scored by Vardy, who's already scored one. We wanted to take his shirt off, yellow card. That'll do. Let's get to Everton. Everton against Chelsea. Next couple of leans from the boys here. Everton are plus 450, big. Chelsea minus 165, but the title contenders. Even if when does Maresca say that the title contenders when they're lifting the title? I don't know. They're second. They're plus 350 for the title. Top of the 8-match form table. Most points away from home. More goals than anyone else in the Premier League here, Nigel. 15 points better off after 16 games this season than last. Surely we're going for Chelsea minus 165. What are you going for?
I'm not going for Chelsea. I think that's a very, very short price, minus 165 Chelsea.
Is that your banker of the weekend?
I think
that's your banker?
Arsenal minus 1's my banker. Go on.
Oh, no. I think Chelsea minus 165 is a very, very short price. I really do. And I mean, under no uncertain terms, Chelsea have impressed me greatly. And I think next season, that will be their year. I know the price is going to be low, but I think they get better as they go on, bring in some new players. But I think we're going to find out a lot about this very inexperienced manager Chelsea side over the next month or so when these matches come thick and fast. This is a bad time to go to Everton. They've got the new takeover bid has been announced. It's going to be a feel-good factor at Goodison Park on the back of a good display against Arsenal 1-0, a frustrating display. We know what to expect from Sean Dyche's side. It's going to be very defensively, very, very strong, and they're going to be manhandling the Chelsea side. They're going to know they're in a battle here. They look a very different side when Branthwaite plays for them. He's an exceptional centre-half. I think that he's going to go on to bigger and better things. Talking him going to Manchester United, I think he'll move to a big club at the end of the year. 7 of the last 10 matches for Everton have been under 2.5 goals. 8 of their last 10, both teams have scored no. But it's completely opposite for Chelsea. Chelsea got so many goals. One their last 7 has scored at least 2 in all those 7 matches. So you've got a real contrast of style. So you've got the flair, the youth, the entertaining Chelsea side swaggering around the pitch, and you've got the Sean Dyche resolute, hard Everton side. So which one comes out on top? And I think the under 2.5 goals here is a better, plus 116, because I just think that Chelsea will be absolutely thrilled to get a 1-0 or 2-0 here. I don't think they need to show boat. They don't need to do anything. They know they're in for a physical battle. And if they can come back from 3 points from this match, then he may say that they're a title contender. But this is going to be tough for Chelsea. I think they might nick it 1-0, but I wouldn't bet them -165. It does look a potential banana skin to me, but I would be going under 2.5 at +116. I think the price is a bit wrong there.
Yeah, variation on a theme to a certain extent. Were you, Jack? Were your lean on this one?
It is, and I think it was a very nice touch there, Nigel doing the Sean Dyche impression while he was doing that, doing that preview. Very good. I'm very much on the same page here. I've gone with both teams to score no as my selection in this one at +102. Again, I was surprised it was plus money. This bet's landed in 8 of Everton's last 9 league games. Incredible stuff. We know what we get with them. Sean Dyche has kept it tight. He's grinding their way to kind of a safety and dragging them over the line. I think he's got that expectation they probably will manage to string a 3 or 4 game winning sequence together, as they tend to do between now and the end of the season, which will probably be enough to get them safe, and then they can go with the new owners, etc. after that. Whether he'll be part of that or not is another question. League high, 10 of 15 games this season. Both teams to score no for Everton games. And historical trends, for those that are fans of that, and we are when it supports our argument, of course, both teams to score no has landed in 13 of the last 16 league meetings between these two sides. So that includes both encounters last season. We all know about Everton's attacking limitations as well, just 14 goals scored this season. So I'm with Nigel, a very tight game here. Both teams score no, somehow, one way or other. For me, at plus money, I think is a good value play.
Fulham Southampton is also 9 a.m. on Sunday. Fulham -240. I think, Nigel, this is the shortest price that Fulham have ever been to win a Premier League game. Someone might tell me otherwise, but they do seem extremely short here to beat Southampton, who showed a little bit against Liverpool in that second half in the League Cup in midweek. How are we attacking this one? What's the best play?
Well, I think if you ask the straw poll of people who will win this match, I'll have Fulham down as one of the bankers of the Premier League. But I always think when you get a side like Fulham or a side like Brighton or a side like Bournemouth who aren't used to being heavy favourites like this, I think sometimes they're worth taking on in some capacity. The trouble is they're playing the Southampton side who are dismal. You know, they concede so many goals and totally not very good here. I think both teams will score, though. You look at Fulham matches this season at home, I think 10 every game at Craven Cottage, there's been both teams have scored. The last 10 matches, 9 of them, both teams have scored. They've got goals in them. They've been exceptional. And you're talking about a Fulham side here that could break into, they're another side who'd be dreaming of Champions League football. But, don't get me wrong. They're doing exceptionally well. European football is definitely on the agenda here. Having said that, I've never ever placed a shot on target market bet. I have been reading the comments on the group, and I have been watching the live shows, and everybody's very keen on Iwobi. At the way he's playing at the moment. And I looked at the shot on Iwobi to have a shot on target is -136, which I haven't done any research on it whatsoever because I wouldn't even know where to start on the shots on target. But I'm listening to the guys who do know this market, the Will Whites, all the guys. And he's available at -136. On the road, Southampton haven't won a match, 1 draw, 7 defeats, only scored 4 goals. But I do think they could score here. So both teams to score, yes. Put it in that parlay. Make it a 3-leg parlay. Fulham, Southampton, both teams to score, yes, -148.
Love that. Well, wisdom of the crowd, you see. We've got a really good community. If everyone is saying Iwobi's the play, and we had one of our commenters putting up a few weeks ago when he was plus money. So we wish you well if you're playing that. Jack, what have you got for us lean-wise, Fulham Saints?
Yeah, it's tough to back Fulham at that price for the reasons that Nigel's already outlined. But I've gone with a variation on that, and I've gone for them to be leading at half-time at -120, so a much better price. Still pretty long as far as that's concerned for them. But as we said, Southampton are absolutely atrocious. 7 of 8 Premier League away games they've lost this season. They've been losing at half-time in 7 as well. They're yet to score a first-half road goal. So that shows you how terrible they've been. Fulham have been winning in their last 2 at half-time, Arsenal and Brighton, and in a total of 4 their last 7. So I've gone with that tentatively because the prices are quite prohibitive in this one for obvious reasons. And Fulham at half-time for me, -120.
Manchester United versus Bournemouth is another early game on Sunday stateside. United are -127, Bournemouth +320. I usually I usually exclaim the price about Manchester United because it's big, but or too short, I should say, in situations like this. But Nigel, here you've got United's -127. It's the biggest price they've ever been at home to Bournemouth in the Premier League game. No one was convinced about that derby win. I think that's what I'm probably getting at here. Yes, they did beat City, but City being in the mess that they are, United haven't moved the market maybe as some might think that they should do. What's your lean? What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's more the fact they play a huge cup match against Tottenham on Thursday. I think that's why the market is minus 127.
Waiting.
I think that'll be a tough match, and I think they'll both go full strong because it's a massive tournament for Ange Postecoglou. We're going to come onto the Tottenham match, and it's a huge match for Amorim. It's their biggest opportunity for both clubs to get a trophy. So I think they'll go really, really strong. And we're doing this on Thursday morning before that match. And I think that is why you're getting minus 127. I don't think it's got anything to do with the derby because both sides were pretty poor there. But the way that transpired, that little bit of luck, you see teams go on rolls and they get a little bit of fortune going with them. So I looked at it, and I know Jack's different because I saw the running order, but I thought Man United were a big price at minus 127. I actually thought, that could be a big price because I'm not convinced by Bournemouth. I think the manager's great. I thought they were quite lucky against West Ham the other night to get out with it with a draw, a worldy goal right at the end. But I'm not convinced by them. I know they got their plaudits, and I do think the manager's done a tremendous job, but I think minus 127 is a big price because Amorim is actually now getting the team he wants. He's ruthless in some of his decisions. Rashford's obviously not going to play any part in the future, it looks, though, for Manchester United. And I think that's what the club needed. They needed some direction. And I thought minus 127 was a big price. But the reason I can't bet it is because we do not know what's going on in this Tottenham match tonight, because that is an absolute massive, massive, massive match for both clubs.
Have you got a lean in the game?
Man United, minus 127. I thought that, but, if that game goes to extra time and penalties, or penalty, I don't know if it goes to extra time, if it goes to penalties, then Man United could be minus 110. So it's really hard to see how we go.
Jack, your lean was nearly a hot dog. You changed it literally seconds before we came in. I had to rechange the running order. It took me it was an absolute nightmare. Thanks for that. But your lean was sort of, this is sort of backup hot dog territory.
Yeah, I just felt plus 300 it was worth a little bit of a punt on Bournemouth, given that Man United do have that big game tonight as we're recording away at Tottenham. Should be, as you say, both of those sides are going to be going pretty full strength because it's huge for both of them. We know about the issues behind the scenes that
Nigel, are you all right? You're going to make the end of the show.
John's going to edit it. Don't have to comment on it. You wouldn't even noticed it.
Oh, right.
Now you've commented on it. They'll know I'm coughing.
Right.
John would have worked his magic. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. John, cut that comment out, please.
60 fags,
I'm glad you cut down. United weren't very good at Man City. We've talked about it. So Bournemouth, no midweek game, I think, is a boost for them. Again, they create so many chances. I mentioned it while I went on the unders against West Ham, as they create so many and miss so many. Same kind of thing happened, didn't it? And then it was a worldy free kick to get that. But they did go to Old Trafford last season and win 3-0. They have got the tools, I think, that can hurt Manchester United, especially with United having that midweek fixture as well. Quite a quick turnaround for them. So I think at plus 300, plus 320 now, isn't it? It was plus 300, plus 310. It's been wobbling around a little bit. So at plus 320, that's just a lean for me. It's hard to have loads of confidence in Bournemouth, but they're 6th in the table. That's incredible. Again, another side that this will be a big opportunity for them to keep up in that race. What a really exciting race that is.
But just to show you something, I mean, Man United are 13th of the table, Bournemouth are 6th. If Man United win this, they go above Bournemouth. It just shows you how tight it is in that.
There's a lot still to come in terms of the prices, as the boys have been pointing out with that game tonight. And just speaking about that game tonight, obviously it involves Spurs as well. Big game of the weekend is Spurs against Liverpool. Spurs are plus 350, Liverpool are minus 137, draw plus 310. This is same game parlay territory for us. We always do a same game parlay on the big game of the weekend. It's Jack's turn this week. So let's get the SGP from Jack on this one. This is Sunday, 11:30. You have got 3 elements to your same game parlay, Mr. Wright.
Yes, I have. I've gone with goals to start with. Picking the winner, I'd fancy Liverpool, but the price didn't really appeal to me, even to stick in a same game parlay, because it could be anything really. I do fancy, and they did rotate quite heavily yesterday, so I think they'll come in pretty fresh. Salah back and the defensive units back as well. But generally, there's quite a decent trend of goals. I've gone for over 3.5 goals as the first leg. 29 goals in the last 7 meetings between the two sides. 4.14 per game. It's gone over 3.5 in 4 of those, including 2 of the last 3 as well. We know what we get with Spurs. They're going to attack. They're going to have a high line. Liverpool can absolutely pick them off. This scoreline, again, could be anything. We like playing goals in Spurs games, certainly, as we saw last week as well. The second selection is another favourite. It's the corner trend. Spurs have had loads of corners this season. And again, last time I was on same game parlay duty, it was a Spurs game. It was against Chelsea. I went for corners in that, and there was 15. Although Spurs only contributed 5. So they're averaging 9 at home. Their games average 14.75. So I've gone for over 12.5 corners in this, which has landed in 7 of their 8 home games. Liverpool average 7 on the road themselves. So again, we know they can contribute to it. Whatever the game state here, we'll see sides going out and attacking it, and that will lead to corners. So that is what I have gone for as my second leg. And the final leg is for Dejan Kulusevski to have a shot on target. He's really kind of stepped up over the last few weeks in a slightly different role. He looks strong. He's physical. He arrives on the scene at the right kind of times. Shot on target in 6 of his last 7 Spurs appearances. And the only one he missed out on in that run was a 20-minute sub cameo versus Fulham. So we'll let him off that. But yeah, pretty consistent over the last few weeks. So that adds a nice little boost into it. Give the same game parlay. And I like to be a little bit juicy as far as the price is concerned on the same game parlays. This one's plus 650.
Plus 650, over 12.5 corners, over 3.5 goals. Dejan Kulusevski has been playing a little bit further forward, as Jack suggested there, to get one or more shot on target. Nigel, what's your take on this one? Obviously, Spurs, as we know, in League Cup action. Liverpool getting through to the semi-finals of the League Cup with a battling display, but a rotated team. Are they worth the punt at minus money? Any betting angles in for you on the big game on Sunday?
Well, I mean, the amount of goals that Liverpool have conceded at the moment is a massive worry, isn't it? 2-2 against Fulham, 3-3 Newcastle, 3-2 against Southampton, conceding against Southampton in the Cup as well. And I think that gives Spurs hope because they think they can score, but the trouble is Spurs will concede as well. I think it's the highest goal line of the Premier League season so far. That's about 4, isn't it? Right, you know, over
Asian
3.5
lines,
over 3.5 is minus 132, minus money. So it's a 3.75 goal game, which is the highest of the season. You would expect goals, but at 3.75 and 4 goal lines is what you've got to pay. You know, you're not going to make it paid long term if you're going over 4 goals at even money or stuff like that. The man in form is Salah. I looked at him to score at any time. He's minus 177, though, which is exceptionally low. I mean, in the game against Tottenham, but it shows you that the match is in for 4 goals. Oh, here we go. But the one thing I did look at, and it's a future, I think Salah at 2-1 to be the top Premier League goal scorer is an absolute monster bet. I think now, if you looked at Salah and you looked at Haaland and you said to me, who's going to score the most goals from now to the end of the season, I'd bite your hand off to bet Salah. And Haaland is a heavy minus money favourite in that top goal scorer market, and Salah is 2-1. We talk about rebases in betting and the Manchester City going through this decline. We started the show with it, but some of these futures aren't taking in the Man City decline. And one of the markets that is doing that is this top goal scorer market. Salah at 2-1 is a big price.
Yeah, they've both got 13 goals at the moment, so you know it's a match bet from here on in, isn't it? Really, and you're betting an informed player, informed team at much bigger than the favourite for the market, who is Haaland. Cole Palmer got 11 goals, incidentally. Who's third favourite, I think, for the market. Brilliant stuff, Nigel, Jack. Thanks for your company. Good luck to one and all if you're tailing us this weekend. Let us know. YouTube comments have been brilliant. Some excellent picks. Some really good write-ups from a few of our commentators. Well, get all your selections in. If you're tailing us, let us know. That is a wrap for Betting Weekly Premier League show. We are back on Monday, aren't we, Nigel? I presume that that show's going to be out ahead of Boxing Day, isn't it? We don't need to wish our viewers and listeners Merry Christmas just yet.
No, Monday we'll be able to do that. Hopefully I'll recover from the cold and I'll be a little bit better. But I apologise for the coffee, not so yet. But back on Monday, nice and early because of Mr. Roebuck. We got to. Our Christmas schedule.
Throw it on me.
It's you. You've called it in the early start, so it's a nice and early show on Monday morning.
And just a little bit of a heads up. Obviously, we've got the live show every day, 11 a.m., but different over the festive period. I presume we're not on Christmas Day, or is Steve Wiss doing one on his own on Christmas? That's what I heard the rumour. Steve
Him
was
and
doing
Kit
one
Kat.
on his own. Yeah.
He wanted to. He said he wanted to. But I said, you need a day off, Steve. Come on, you're bringing too much. Me and Steve are doing a very special Boxing Day one, and we're going to live betcast in play. That'll be good on Boxing Day. So that'll be a good one. But live shows every day, 4 o'clock in the UK, 11 o'clock Eastern time. Keep watching them. Keep your comments coming as well. And obviously subscribe to the YouTube channel. Lots of good content. And obviously, as I said, the newsletter and the tennis season starts in 10 weeks. Sean Calvert
Come on, I have to hurry you now. You've gone on for far too long.
Because of the quiz. Because of the quiz. Because of the quiz. Okay, go on, Mr. Roebuck. Wrap it up.
That is your lot from Betting Weekly Premier League show. We are back on Monday, as we said. Picks, plays, hot dogs, same game parlays. Because we win is our Twitter handle. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Nigel said all that. From all of us for now, it is goodbye. We'll see you Monday.